Oh, let us screen share, and um, we're going to go to this from Isaiah. If I can get to it, there it is. Job makes me think of this. Job talks about how people won't have anything to do with him. He's so disgusting. Nobody, his friends desert him. People won't approach him. He is a pariah. He is utterly abandoned by his friends and left with miserable comforters. Isaiah 53:2. He grew up before him like a tender shoot and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. And later, he was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. This is Isaiah talking about the suffering servant. This is Isaiah prophesying Christ. And Job himself tells us that this is what he has become. But then we have this tremendous elevation of language and prophecy by the end of Job 19. Oh, that my words were now written. Oh, that they were printed in a book, that they were graven with an iron pen and lead in the rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and not another, though my reins be consumed within me. He is prophesying the second judgment. This is also featured in Handel's Messiah. This is one of the verses that Handel uses in preparing us for the great New Testament arrival of Jesus, because that's what this is. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God. The resurrection of the body. He has a prophetic confidence in a face-to-face encounter with his Redeemer, who will save him from what he has put him through. That's profound, and in a way, it's sort of the center of the faith of Job. I also want to look at John 1:17, because this fits in with what Paul is trying to say in Romans. Jesus, well, this isn't Jesus yet. This is John, still in the first chapter. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. We're about to read of the beginning of the circumcision covenant with Abraham, which is the beginning of God demanding certain ritualistic and legal behavior from his followers. But even in John, we have an awareness of the fact that the law has been superseded. And as Jesus tells us, I've not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. The law is a precursor and a preparation for Christ. But then we have this very strange thing here, which I'm going to read to you. This is a footnote from the almost impossible section I had you read from Romans. So this is just a general paraphrase of what Paul is saying in very confused and contorted syntax in that passage. David Bentley Hart sums it up. This is pretty much what he's saying. Just as the first sin brought condemnation and death to absolutely everyone, so Christ's act of righteousness brings righteousness and life to absolutely everyone. Whether intentional or not, the plain meaning of the verse is that of universal condemnation annulled by universal salvation. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. That's also from Handel's Messiah. So this stuff is difficult in Romans, but that's probably the most difficult passage in the entire book. But his idea, of course, is death and sin entered the world through the first Adam. Salvation and grace are given fully to the world through the second Adam. And he keeps making these parallel statements because Paul apparently finds it fascinating and has prayed and meditated about that. But I think the highlight of what we read today was Job 19 and his utter honesty with his friends and his prophetic vision of his eventual vindication and the vindication or condemnation of all of us at the end of time.